How did Mohnish start his business? What is his secret?
Mohnish explains that people assume that entrepreneurs are risk takers and gamblers. That is far from true. In fact, entrepreneurs are people who know how to minimize risk and manage risk apart from having other qualities. Most of the startups and businesses, almost 99.99% of them, do not have access to venture capital and all other fancy funding we hear in the news. These are businesses like the neighborhood restaurants, motels, laundry or grocery stores, and more than 1 million such businesses get started every year in the United States alone. The common theme amongst almost all of these businesses is that they do everything in their power to reduce risk of failure and permanent loss of capital. There is an asymmetry when you start a business where if it fails you may not really lose that much. But if it works you make a lot of money and hit a jackpot. Such asymmetric bets are very attractive, and one should make such bets when one gets a chance. Mohnish started his first business when he was 25 years old. He did not have a family dependent on him and could bounce back in case of failing. He did not have much to lose. He used credit card debt from his Visa and MasterCard to fund his startup. He took approximately $70,000 in credit. Not using venture capital money meant that he did not have to give them equity. He used rest of his savings and retirement money from his 401k account, which was about $30,000. He did not worry much about his retirement at the age of 25. In total he arranged about $100,000 to start his business. He researched bankruptcy laws in the United States at that time in 1991 and found that if his business failed then he could declare personal bankruptcy. His $70,000 loan would be wiped clean and written off. Not only would he get a clean slate, but he would actually become a good credit for the banks because he could not file for personal bankruptcy again for the next 7 years as per the law. Thus, his only downside was losing his $30,000 in personal savings. Mohnish was a qualified software engineer and was certain that if his startup failed, he could easily get a job with his skills. With these assurances in his mind, Mohnish started his first IT business. He started this business while he was working at his day job as a software engineer. Thus, he had his day job to sustain him while his business made no money. Mohnish was an outstanding software engineer. He knew that his primary job required him to work for 40 hours a week. He realized that after taking out these 40 hours and all the time required to sleep and do other work, he was left with another 40 hours in the week and during weekends which he could use to grow his business. Mohnish started working on his business after his working hours and during the weekends. He worked just hard enough so as not to get fired from his primary job, all while working on his business. Finally, after 9 months of hard work, his business took off and he had enough customers in his sales pipeline that he could quit his job. When Mohnish went to quit his job, his bosses were surprised. But now they understood the reason for his decreased performance in the last 9 months. They told Mohnish that when they reviewed his performance, they found that his performance had decreased but not enough to fire him from his job. They wished him luck and told him when his business fails, and not if his business fails. But, when his business fails, he could come back and work for them again with a higher salary and at a higher position. Mohnish was delighted to hear their offer. However, his business worked out well and he started getting millions in revenue and profit, so he never went back to his job. His huge asymmetric bet of low risk and high uncertainty worked out well for him. Like the content? Let us know in the comment section. For more such content, please like, share, and subscribe.